in the top right corner of his box, there's
Yes.
Hey, and Justice Wall, I just started the live stream, okay?
okay. Everybody, we are now
It's right
live
there.
on YouTube as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
right
now,
there.
let's see,
Yeah.
where were we at?
Rename.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marcia, everything went good.
Yours,
No,
right?
don't even need to do it. I think if you just punch it in, capital B, see if you're ready to go.
I thought they said put it in how you want it to be.
Mavis,
I can change
That's all
it.
right, don't change it.
Mavis.
Okay,
Okay.
Click OK.
Everybody's looking for
I'll learn something too. Scroll that thing.
Marcia, were we able to get Mr. Reitmeyer?
I'm still working with him.
Okay.
Marcia, if you want him to call me, I'll try to get him on and you can manage the meeting. if
Oh,
you would
perfect.
rather do
Yes. Can you,
So-
what?
that. I'll put my number in chat, Marcia. too.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Mr. Reitmeyer, I am going to,
All right. Well, it's 9:02, and I think we can go ahead and call the meeting to order. We're meeting today to interview and appoint a district magistrate judge to replace the Honorable Judge Paul Monty, who retired at the end of his term on January 11th of 2021. And we congratulate him again and thank him for his service. I think everybody has corrected or changed their name if they needed to in their displays. Let's see if Marcia has a moment, if she has the opportunity to go ahead and take roll call.
Hello, Kurt.
I did.
You heard me.
I think she got the message. I think she's just working on it. Marcia, you're on mute if you're talking.
okay. Sorry. I will start roll. Bruce Meyer,
Present.
Carol Good. Carol Good. Okay.
Present.
Curtis Frazier,
Present.
Dana Brewer,
Present.
Dana Brewer, Daniel Metz.
Present.
Sorry, I think I need to.
That was Carol.
Okay. Sorry, I needed to, I'm trying to do the YouTube too. Also, Daryl Miller,
Present.
Dwight Daniels,
Present.
Brad Lowell,
Present.
Gary Harrison,
Present.
Tanner Johnson,
Present.
Bill Navis,
Present.
and Roger Reitmeyer. I think we're waiting on him. Okay.
Well, that's certainly enough for a quorum, so I'll officially declare it. And we can proceed as you continue to work to get Mr. Reitmeyer in. Just as a reminder,
Much too before long.
today's meeting is an open meeting under the Kansas Open Meetings Act. A notice of the meeting was provided, and the notice included instructions for the public to attend by phone for public comment and to watch the proceedings on YouTube, which are live today. Moving on to item 2 of the agenda, the minutes from the last meeting in November. Everyone should have received a draft copy of those minutes and had the opportunity to review them. Does anyone have any proposed edits or changes to those minutes? Seeing none, does anybody have a motion to approve the minutes as drafted?
I so move. Bruce Meyer.
Thanks.
Second, Kirk Frazier.
Mr. Frazier, you seconded? Is that?
I did, yes.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's say all in favor, maybe raise your hand.
Oh, we have to go to video.
There
Okay,
you go. Or if you're by phone, you can indicate by saying yes. Aye.
okay.
Okay. Any objections? Raise your hand or say nay. Hearing none, the motion passes.
I need to start the phone call. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I apologize for that.
no problem. We'll take a minute to open this up for public comment. But Marcia, maybe should we go ahead and take public comment, move that to after Chief Cudney's presentation?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, we'll open it up for public comment. We'll move item 3 to number 4. We're just happy today to have Chief District Court Judge Kim Cudney with us today. She served as the chief judge in the 12th district for, if I counted right, is 15 years, will be this year, I believe, which is incredible. And in this capacity, she's responsible for judicial administration throughout the district. She oversees judicial officers. And so from that perspective, she's really well positioned to know the essential functions and duties of a district magistrate judge. And I thought that would be helpful and timely information for us to hear before we start moving into interviews today. She's very busy, has a very busy schedule, so we really appreciate her taking time to do just that. So with that, I turn the floor over to you, Chief. Go ahead, Chief.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Judge.
Morning.
So it takes a while for everyone to find the right camera button and the right mute button, and maybe not the optimum way to conduct interviews, but somehow throughout 2020, we have found a way to continue with business. Am I frozen?
Yes, yes,
Is the audio working?
yes.
All right. So that's just another one of the issues in our daily lives that we've learned to deal with is audio or internet problems, something that takes a while to work out. And for a person that doesn't have a lot of patience, that has been one of the issues I have had to work with. Many of you I know, many of you I practice in front of me, but there are some of you who I think I have not met, and others who may be newer to this process. And so Justice Wall asked me to take a few minutes to discuss with you the day-to-day functions of a magistrate judge, their duties and qualifications. So I'd like to start with their day-to-day functions. I believe the magistrate judges take care of a lot more matters than most of you are aware of. So primarily, everyone thinks about the criminal matters, and that is a big percentage of the time that they spend on their judicial duty. But on any given day, they may have a hearing or paperwork on a probate matter, a child support matter. Generally, each of them have a traffic docket at least once a month. They deal with all of the fish and game matters. Then stick in an adoption, maybe in the afternoon, or a day where they set the limited action cases. Those are generally pro se, and individuals come before the court with their civil matters. A great example of that is landlord-tenant, because those are the most common limited civil cases. But a protection from abuse, protection from stalking, those cases come up at any time. Besides the criminal matters, probably the most time consuming are the child in need of care cases. And obviously those are time consuming, but probably have the great impact on our society, because the magistrate judge is dealing with the social workers, with the child, with the parents, with the foster parents, with grandparents, and making decisions that will impact that child's life generally, I think, forever. So those are issue matters that the magistrates cover. They also, in our district, cover for one another. I cannot believe my landline is ringing. They cover for one another in the different counties. So we try to be as uniform as possible. They also are expected to be leaders, community leaders and professional leaders. So they provide education publicly through our organizations. They provide education at our schools. They conduct often the mock trials that take place so our young people learn about the judicial system. And our magistrate judges are expected to complete their continuing judicial education, because more than ever, the law is changing, the rules change, and they have to keep on top of these issues. And then finally, they have technology to deal with. And so no longer can they say, oh, I just don't want to do it. Let the clerk handle that. They can't. Our world has changed and they have to be able to deal with technology. For the last year, that's how we've conducted business. Their minimum qualifications, those are easy. A resident of the county, a high school graduate, and they must be a lawyer or certified by the Supreme Court within 18 months. I noticed that today's panel, there are no lawyers who have applied. So whoever you choose will be required to certify within 18 months. Those are the minimum qualifications. I expect a lot more from the magistrate judges. Each judge must respect and honor the judicial office. They must maintain the trust and confidence of the public. They must be a leader in character. They must be decisive. They have to make the decision when there are opposing arguments. So they must be independent. They cannot show favoritism. And our magistrates must follow the US Constitution, the Kansas Constitution. They must follow the Kansas statutes. They must follow the Kansas Supreme Court rules and the rules of the 12th Judicial District. They must be fair and open-minded. Probably the number one character I hope you consider are their integrity, both professional and personal. Because the magistrate judges are the front line. They are who the public see first when they come to the Kansas courts. Almost always, the magistrate judge is their first contact with the judicial system. And so I believe that their public service is important. I will do everything I can to lead and guide and to support our magistrate judges. And I expect from them to give their all and to give their best to this position. So thank you. I think you have a tremendous job to do today. And I thank you for the service that you are providing. Thank you, Justice Wall.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Judge Cudney. We really do appreciate your time and that information. I think it was helpful as we start those interviews and keeping mindful of those qualifications and not just minimum, but also the higher expectations that we place on our magistrate judges. So thank you very much. And with that, I think, Marcia, we'll cut Chief Judge loose at this point. And we really do appreciate your time.
And I have initiated the phone call. I've asked if anyone is on the call for public comment and no one has replied.
Okay, we'll make one final request. Anybody with us on the phone from the public that would like to make comment today? Hearing none, we can move to our next item on the agenda. We're getting close to actually starting off the process that we're here for today. But before we do that, I would recommend that we go into executive session maybe for 10 minutes so that we can review the confidential background check information we received. And that way it doesn't become public because it is confidential information. Does anybody have any comment or questions or concerns about that? And if not, does anybody want to make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of reviewing confidential background check information for 10 minutes?
Bruce Meyer, so move.
Okay. Anyone second that?
Jerry Harrison, I will second that motion.
Thank you. All right, all in favor, either say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, say nay or raise their hand in opposition. Hearing none, we will move into executive session, and it's a little bit different in a virtual world. I believe, Marcia, you'll take us into a separate breakout room.
Yes.
Marcia, this is Daryl Miller. Are you still in contact with Mr. Reitmeyer?
I am not. Mr. O'Brien, one of our IT staff, he's trying to work with him on getting him connected.
He could drive in here to my office if it's not going to work. I know he wants to participate, and we could make arrangements for him to sit in here with me.
Okay, I'll give him a call and see if we can do that.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, it would be great to get him in. All right, so we will be virtually transported into a breakout room.
It may come up and ask, you may see a message that says join, so just click join. Hang on, wait a second. Sorry, I did something wrong and
It's okay.
I don't want to join myself, that's why. Well, I'm trying. I'm sorry. Oh, here we go. This is what I needed to do. Huh? Is anybody getting the message?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Good. And join message.
All right.
Hey, Marcia.
Yes, Kelly.
Trying to get him on right now. He's going to call me back. We're trying to run down his Apple ID password.
Okay.
Because we have to download, he's using his iPad, so we have to download the Zoom app to get it to work. And so we
Oh,
need to get that. So he's getting a hold of his nephew right now, who must be his IT person. So he should call me back, and I'll try to get him on that.
and you could also tell him that.
I can't hear you for whatever reason.
Well,
Looks
I'm
like
unmuted.
but I'm not hearing you.
I'm not.
Still not.
Huh.
I assume you're hearing me.
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you. Can you hear me
I
now?
cannot hear you.
Huh.
Oh, it's my fault. Sorry.
And did you?
I had my wrong earplug, but here he's calling me right now. So let me
Okay, perfect.
grab him. So yeah,
All right.
this is Kelly. How are you?
Hey, and Mr. O'Brien, you are live with us. So, okay, there you go.
Monday.
Okay.
Oh,
Sort of like Star Trek, we've been transported back from our breakout room to our live session.
I'm gonna
And our-
count screens, make sure we have everybody back.
Okay.
Yes, okay. And we're still working with Mr. Reitmeyer to get him to join. I think we're close.
Okay. And were you able to pass on the message that he could go to Mr. Miller's office?
I did. Yes, I
Okay.
passed that message on. Yes.
Okay. Well, we are now out of our 10-minute executive session and back in open session and ready to conduct our interviews.
exchanged emails, and I'm sorry. about
Marcia, do we have Mr. Cohorst ready?
Yes, he is in the waiting room.
Okay, and I think I'm a non-voting member, so I'll ask the applicants to introduce themselves, but then I'm really going to turn it over to all the members to do the inquiry, because you're the voting members and you're the ones that I think should have the information. But we are right at 9:30. I think we can bring Mr. Cohorst in now and start his interview.
Admitting now.
Hello, Mr. Cohorst. Oh, I think you just got your audio.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Cohorst?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you for being here today for the interview. Would you take just a minute to introduce yourself to the members of the nominating commission?
Sure. My name is Jason Cohorst, and I'm currently working at District 1 Probation in Nebraska.
Okay, thank you. And I will turn the questions and the interview process over to the members at this juncture. And anybody is free to begin asking questions of Mr. Cohorst.
Mr. Cohorst, this is Bruce Meyer. I represent Washington County. What do you see as the greatest challenge you face if you were appointed to this position?
I would say just getting to know the position. As far as what I do, I work with a lot of at-risk families, so I feel like I kind of understand the processes. I've been in the courtroom. I've had to testify. So really just getting familiar with resources in the community and people and players.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Mr. Cohorst, this is Bill Navis. I had a question. You served for about a year as a temporary administrator there at the Beatrice State Development Center. And I was curious as to whether you were an applicant for that position.
I was not an applicant. I was asked to move to that position as a temporary position. There were 3 administrators and I was asked to take on that role. And the reason was our CEO at the time had passed away. So we were recruiting a CEO for the position and they wanted me to basically help train or assist the new CEO coming on board.
In any event, though, you didn't apply for the full-time position.
No, I was promoted to a temporary position.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr.
You know, folks,
Cohorst,
wait.
excuse me, Mr. Cohorst, my name is Jerry Harrison. I'm an attorney in Beloit. I'd just like to ask you, what are your most important interests outside of your employment?
I have 5 children, obviously, so obviously an important interest of me is to participate in their activities. I do feel like it's very important to be involved in your community. I like to help coach. I like to go to their games. I like to be involved in the community.
Mr. Cohorst, this is Dan Metz. I'm an attorney in Lincoln, Kansas. Have you had the opportunity to visit with the magistrate judge concerning, say, a one-on-one to kind of get a feel for what the job entails? And that could have been Mr. Monty or Judge Monty, or it could have been someone else in the district, or perhaps even someone in Nebraska, because this is an undertaking that you're applying for that's somewhat different, even though you've been connected with the court system, certainly in a good way. But I'm just curious if you've had any one-on-one type discussions about what your role would be as a magistrate judge.
I have not had one-on-one conversations with magistrate judge. I have done a lot of research on the internet and looked up several things, but I have not had an individual conversation.
Do you see this, just one follow-up, do you see this as kind of the end of a run on what you want to do in life? I mean, this is, of course, you will continue to be judges as long as you choose to be. And there are some restrictions, of course, or limitations on age comes to mind, but I think you're quite a ways from that. So,
I hope so.
have you given thought to that? I mean, are you taking on your life's work, or would you be?
Actually, I have thought a lot about that, and I could honestly see myself retiring in this position. I've had 25 years experience working with at-risk families, and I've worked with mental health, I've worked with disabilities, I've worked with adult juvenile probation, and I'm ready to take the skill sets that I've learned through my career and work at a different level.
Thank you.
Yep.
Justice Wall, I'm sorry to interrupt the meeting. I just wanted to point out that I believe Mr. Reitmeyer has now joined.
Yep.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And just to, I know you got in midstream, and sorry for your technical difficulties, but we're interviewing Mr. Cohorst now, and I had told the members that they are free to jump in and ask questions as the voting members at any time. So it's really the ball's in the members' court, I guess, so to speak.
Mr. Mr. Carhorst. This is Kurt Frazier in Beloit, Kansas. I'm also an attorney here, and I'd just like to hear your thoughts on the many aspects that the magistrate judge has to cover, and your feeling about those areas that probably you have less experience in.
I would say I know, like what I've looked up a lot of mediation. I feel like in my current role as a probation officer, I work with high risk individuals. Really, mediation is something I do every day. I carry a caseload of approximately 50 people, and I work in 3 different counties. So there's always something going on, something you got to work with the families, whether that's I don't know, drug addiction or treatment issues or issues at home with the family members. I feel like I'm always doing some type of mediation with the people that I work with. As far as like misdemeanors, I'm in court regularly. I've had to testify. I kind of understand the court process. There will be a learning curve for me, but I feel like I'm a quick learner and that I can tackle that and figure it out.
Mr. Crowhurst, this is Rena Brewer. I'm an attorney in Concordia. What differences are you aware of between the role of a court services officer in Kansas and in Nebraska?
The role of a court service officer in Nebraska. I know the conditions are a little different from when I worked in Kansas to Nebraska. Some of the conditions of we do now, we have the option of doing search and seizure, which was never an option when I worked in Kansas. I actually have supervised people from Kansas through the interstate compact system, and a lot of the conditions are the same. So I don't see a whole lot of differences between the two, but there are some differences.
Thank you.
Yep.
Carol Good here. I'm from Lincoln County. So you have 5 children. When you have to rule on a child in need of care, is that going to pull at your heartstrings a little bit? And also, how are you on technology?
I've had a hard time understanding. You asked me how children would affect me dealing with the child needed care case and how well I was on technology. I've worked with child needed care cases in the past. Coming out of college, I worked as a juvenile probation officer, and that was part of my job duties. Is I found out-of-home place, or I secured out-of-home placements for juveniles or child needed care cases, and then I monitored those out-of-home placements. I also worked at child needed care cases through youth court. I was a youth court coordinator through the Riley County Attorney's Office, and those were mainly on truancy, but I have dealt with a lot of children in my past, and I find working with children needed care cases. As far as technology, I am getting older and I might not be perfect with technology, but I can figure it out.
Mr. Cohorst, this is Tanner Johnson. I'm with the community bank here in Cortland, Kansas. And I'm just curious, from your work as a parole officer, I know you spent a lot of time in courtroom, and I'm just curious what you feel like that experience is going to bring to the other side of the bench if you're selected for this position today.
I would say, like in probation, we use a lot of evidence-based practice. We assess risks. We try to match up resources with risks. We do, I think motivational interviewing is a big piece. It's building rapport with people, respecting people, asking open-ended questions, summarizing what they say so they know that you hear them. So I think a lot of it is just building that rapport and interacting with people in the courtroom.
Any further questions from the members? Hearing none, I think we could give Mr. Cohorst 30 seconds, a minute, just to wrap up and convey to the commission any final thoughts that he wants the members to take with them.
Very good. First of all, I would just like to say thank you to all of you for giving me the opportunity to interview. I feel very honored to be here today. I am and would be excited to serve in my community. I've worked in Nebraska for the last 10 years and I live in Kansas, so it would be a great opportunity to get back and be more involved in my community. As I said at the beginning, I've worked with a variety of people with mental health issues. I've worked with individuals with disabilities, developmental disabilities. I've worked with juvenile, adult probation, and I feel like I'm a good candidate for this position and you would not be disappointed.
Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Cohorst. I appreciate you being here. And I think with that, Marcia, or Mr. Cohorst, you're free to leave the meeting at this juncture.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, and we're staying pretty close to schedule here, which is good. I think if Marcia, if you bring in Ms. Kern now, we could probably start her right off at 9:45.
Okay, I'm admitting her now.
Okay. And I might mention to the members, if you're not speaking, if you could mute. I know that occasionally there's an echo that might help with that. Ms. Kern, can you hear us?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being here today. Would you just take a minute to introduce yourself to the nominating commission?
Well, I am Allison Kern, and I am currently a court services officer in the 22nd Judicial District. I am from Washington. I was born in Washington, Kansas, and I've lived in Washington County for most of my life. And I have, as a court services officer, I think I have an advantage because I have observed and participated in every aspect of the judicial process, which includes like preliminary hearings, arraignments, sentencings, probation violation hearings. I've written warrants, probation violation affidavits, and completed pre-sentence investigations for adults and juveniles. And I've observed judges doing their jobs, and I've learned what works and what doesn't work. And I guess as a judge, I would follow the law to the best of my ability. And when a citizen comes before me in court, I would want that citizen to feel like they have been heard and that the outcome of their case was fair. I have served the Washington County citizens as a dispatcher and a deputy, and I would like to come back and serve Washington County again as a district magistrate judge for many years to come. So thank you.
Thank you for the introduction, and I'll hand it over to all the members to ask any follow-up questions that they have for you.
Allison, this is Bruce Meyer from Washington County. What are the specific aspects of this position that moved you to apply for it?
Well, I always had in the back of my mind, I guess, that I would like to be a judge someday. And I didn't know about this opportunity until Judge Weingart brought it up to me, and he told me, Allison, you do a really good job as a magistrate judge, and he's encouraged me throughout this whole process to apply for this job, and I feel like I'm willing to learn and do this job well.
Thank you.
Ms. Kern, this is Bill Navis. I'm an attorney in Belleville, Kansas. Your application indicated that you've had at least 4 different job experiences from the military up to your current position as a CSO. I'm curious, of those 4 positions that you put in your application, which of those has been most valuable in your mind in terms of bringing experience and ability that you can use as a magistrate judge?
Well, I think all of the job experiences that I've had makes becoming a judge a well-rounded, I guess, experience. From the military, I learned that I could do a lot of things that I didn't think I could. You know, as far as being a leader, and then law enforcement. I learned you know, a lot of things about like writing warrants and serving the citizens of Washington County as best I could. I just think the overall experience of every single one of these jobs that I've had has brought me to this place right now, and I feel that all my well-rounded experience would make me a good judge.
Thank you for that.
Ms. Kearns, this is Kurt Frazier in Beloit, Kansas. I'm an attorney here and just have a question for you in regard to, you know, it appears you have extensive experience in those things that you've worked with in the past. What other aspects, though, of the position magistrate judge do you see that you're going to have to get up to speed on, and how comfortable are you in doing that?
Well, in every job that I've had in the past and my current court services job, I have been willing to learn, and I'm capable of getting up to speed on things, and I've as a court services officer also, I've learned things quickly, and I'm willing to you know, do what I need to be a good judge.
Thank you.
Allison, this is Dana Brewer. I'm an attorney over at Concordia. You have a degree in criminal justice, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Why did you choose to pursue that, and how do you feel like that helps you in pursuing this position?
Well, when I was in high school, you take those like aptitude tests or whatever that they are, and it told me that I would be a good like law enforcement officer or whatever. But you know, of course, I was young and I didn't go along with that. So I went into a different, I guess, not profession, but I went to college for something else until I figured out that I didn't want to do that. And I took another one of those tests, and it said criminal justice again. So I pursued that, and from then on, I was on like the dean's list. I loved learning, you know, the law and everything that went along with criminal justice. And I like just about every aspect of criminal justice, including the judicial system. And I love learning everything about it, because I from like the military police, from dispatching, from my being a deputy sheriff, and now court services. I think all of that included, is just I'm just willing to learn every part of the judicial system and like law enforcement.
Very good. Thank you.
Mrs. Kern, this is Tanner Johnson with the Community Bank here in Cortland, Kansas. You've had a lot of experience in the courtroom and around the courtroom, and I'm just curious if there are items that the court handles that you would treat differently if elected to the bench, and if so, how?
I mean, I think every process that I have learned, I would, because I have like observed judges like Judge Weingart, Judge Patton doing their jobs, and Judge Heckey over here. And I would take, I've learned from each of them, and I would take all those aspects and put them into those good aspects and put them into my job as a magistrate judge also. I mean, I think you can learn something from every judge, and then you can make that decision on what you want to bring to your courtroom, and what's going to be good for the citizens of Washington County.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Ms. Kern, my name is Jerry Harrison. I'm an attorney in Beloit. I noticed on your application that you haven't listed any civic organizations. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And do you have some outside interests outside of your employment?
Yes, I do. I have 3 kids, and I'm involved in they're in sports, and I'm involved in their activities, and also I am on the finance committee at my church and everything too. That's basically, I'm busy with my kids and their activities.
That's understandable. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Brad Lowell. I'm the publisher of the Concordia Blade Empire, and I see that you served in Darmstadt, Germany.
That is correct.
Yeah. Well, I was with the 5th Corps Artillery Headquarters in Darmstadt.
Okay.
So that's irrelevant, not relevant to your decision, but congratulations.
Thank you.
Any further questions from members of the nominating commission? Hearing none, I think, Ms. Kern, if you wanted to take a minute to convey to the members of the commission any final thoughts that you have, or any statements you want them to take with them as they evaluate the candidates.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to the 12th Judicial District, the committee, and the citizens of Washington County for this consideration. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Kern.
Yep.
All right, and I think you're free to exit the meeting, or if Marcia, I don't know if you do that. Mr. Brewer, did you have a question?
No, Your Honor, I was waving goodbye.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Are you ready for me to admit Mr. McFadden?
Does anybody have an objection to moving forward? I think we're a couple minutes ahead of schedule, but I think Mr. McFadden's ready to proceed. Hearing no objections, let's bring him in. Mr. McFadden? Marcia, do you know if is Mr. McFadden there?
He might still be, looks like he might be trying to process through still.
Okay.
There.
Well, Mr. McFadden, can you hear us okay? Mr. McFadden? Do you have your mute button on by chance? Oh, there you go.
I'm here, sir.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for your time today. Would you just take a minute to introduce yourself to the members of the nominating commission?
Yes, Judge Wall and ladies and gentlemen of the nominating commission, my name is Chris McFadden. It's an honor to appear here before you this morning for consideration for nomination to a position of the magistrate judge for the 12th Judicial District. I'd just like to open the discussion, if I could, telling you a little bit about myself and my family and my background pertaining to the qualifications for this position. My wife Lisa and I moved to Clifton in Washington County in about 2015. We came from Salina, Kansas. Lisa was a elementary school teacher there with USD 305. And I had served with the Salina Police Department for about 20 years. Since arriving in Washington County, Lisa has taken a position with USD 333 in Concordia. And I've been employed with the Washington County Sheriff's Office as a sheriff's deputy since that time. Lisa is a special education teacher with the school district in Conn. We are very fortunate to have two great kids. My daughter Jenna is a sophomore at Concordia High School, and Kyle is an 8th grader there at the middle school. Lisa's currently working there also, and that's worked out really well for our family. Lisa and I have been married for about 18 years. Clifton is Lisa's hometown, and that's kind of how we arrived in north central Kansas. Having moved here, it's been a great change for me and my family, and I really enjoy the friendships and the connections we've made in this area. Very excited about the opportunity to serve as magistrate judge if I'm nominated. I believe this would be a unique challenge, and I feel that my life and professional experiences have given me a great foundation, perhaps, to be successful in this role. I've spent a career communicating with people, listening to people in a great variety of circumstances, circumstances that were sometimes difficult or emotionally charged, clouded with issues of addiction or mental health concerns. And as a police officer and a sheriff's deputy, it's also really been my pleasure to talk to community groups such as the Chamber of Commerce, neighborhood watch groups, church groups, senior citizen advocacy groups, parent-teacher associations, school student bodies, and DARE classes. I'm a DARE instructor here in Washington County. I've worked as a patrol officer, a training officer, a school resource officer, a mentor, and also as a DARE instructor. I do not, however, look at the position of magistrate as a continuation of my career in law enforcement. I think this is just a new and unique opportunity to serve the district in a new role. I recognize that the role of magistrate is much different than that of a peace officer, but I feel that the years I've spent developing listening and communication skills, mediation skills, and the positive impact I've seen the court make on the community and the people who appear before it, I think that gives me a little bit of insight into the position. I believe very strongly that the circumstances which bring people before the court are unique to their situation, and that they deserve the utmost attention and understanding, along with a little bit of compassion. I feel it's essential that when people leave the court, they feel that their positions were fully heard and that they were given due consideration, no matter what the outcome was reached. I feel that maybe over the last part of my career, our society, even in smaller communities such as ours, that we maybe have been a little more prone to cynicism in viewing our local institutions and our neighbors sometimes. And I just feel that it's important that we take every opportunity every day to renew and kind of refresh, restore our citizens' faith in our local governmental institutions and offices such as the magistrate court. So I think that's very important also. And with that, I'd like to answer any questions you might have for me.
Thank you for that introduction, and I'll hand it over to the members for their questions.
Yes, this is Bruce Meyer. I'm from Washington County representative. Mr. McFadden, what do you see as your greatest challenge you face if you're appointed to this position?
I think challenges would be moving forward and ensuring that the court uses technology to continue to enhance its operation in times of our pandemic and the health concerns in the community. And also, I believe it would just be important to establish myself in the community as a person that the community could look to for fairness and even-handedness in the court, and just begin to further develop the relationships I already have in the community.
Thank you.
Mr. McFadden, this is Bill Navis. I'm an attorney over in Belleville. I noticed on your application that you had kind of a brief stint with the city of Andover, Kansas, and I was curious that was looks like about a 1 month period of time before you went on, I believe, to Salina. Was there a particular reason why that stint was so short?
Yes, there was. I had already been employed with the Salina Police Department. I entered service with them in 1995. I had a break in service with Salina and moved down to the Andover and Augusta area and took the job with the Andover Police Department. The reason for my move was really to become involved in a family business that we were running down there, an import-export company where we were purchasing a lot of pottery and furniture from Mexico. And I thought that I would be able to continue to serve as a police officer and have a role there with the Andover Police Department as we kind of began the business, and it began over the course of the next year or so to come into full operation. But soon after joining, I realized it just wasn't compatible. And although I was only there a month, I decided to pursue the primary reason why I'd moved down there, and that was the operation of the business.
Thank you for your response.
Mr. McFadden, I'm Dan Metz, attorney from Lincoln, Kansas. Again, following up on what Mr. Davis has indicated from your resume that you furnished to the committee, I noticed that you had 2 experiences with college, but neither of which were followed through to completion. And as you know, this position that you're applying for is open to attorneys, graduate attorneys from law school, and then those who have not, such as yourself, because you would have an opportunity to take various educational information before you would, or during your early time there. But I'm just curious, and I don't want to get into anything personal, but was there a reason why on 2 occasions you were in the College of Southern Nevada, and then you later came back to Kansas and had some time at Wichita State University? Would you like to explain that? And I'm sure there might be a good reason. We'd like to hear it.
Yeah, after I left service with the Marine Corps, I returned to Las Vegas, Southern Nevada, which had been in part kind of a primary residence throughout my young adult life prior to joining the service. My family did move around a lot, and Southern Nevada was as much a home as I had. So after separation from the service, I returned to Las Vegas. I was working in various jobs in that community and attending the Community College of Southern Nevada part-time. In 1994, I divorced my then wife and relocated to Kansas. And that's why that and school was at the time, part-time classes at the community college. So I returned to Kansas, or came to live in the Augusta area. I was again working a variety of positions and began to look towards college to further my education. And I enrolled in Wichita State University. I was only there for about a semester and got the opportunity to join the Salina Police Department. And obviously moving from the Wichita area to Salina, I separated there from the university and became involved in a career in law enforcement. I'm a huge believer in lifelong learning. I've been successful when I've attended college. I just, because of different circumstances in my life and different priorities at the time, pursued professional opportunities outside of college.
Thank you. I certainly respect your explanation. Thank you.
Mr. McFadden, this is Tanner Johnson. I'm with the community bank here in Cortland, Kansas, and your prior experience has required you to spend some time in court. And I'm curious if there are items that have come before the court you would handle differently if you're elected to this position and sit on the other side of the bench.
My experiences in court in both Salina during the course of my career and here in Washington County have been pretty overwhelmingly positive. I've got to observe judges, display great deliberation and understanding. And while as a police officer, while I sometimes disagreed with some of the findings of the court, that was more due to, I guess, our different roles within the judicial system. But no, overall, I think the court over the course of my career has done a wonderful job respecting the rights of the citizens and executing its duties as kind of a fair arbiter of fact. And I have the utmost respect for the judges and judicial officers that I've been able to observe throughout my career.
Mr. McFadden, to follow up on that a little bit, this is Daryl Miller. I'm an attorney at Mankato, and I was a prosecutor for 44 years. And I know from that experience that most police officers, when they pursue somebody and arrest them, expect somebody to do some jail time. Suppose you're on the bench and you're looking at a pre-sentence report where the court services officer, the defense attorney, and the prosecutor are all recommending probation and treatment, and you in your mind from experience like this guy needs to go to jail. How would you handle that?
Well, I believe that the court should utilize the resources it has available to it, and should always consider the recommendations of the officers that serve the court. And I think there has to be a certain open-mindedness and fairness to the situation. I don't believe that it's appropriate for the court to be prejudiced against the defendant because of history necessarily. But I believe also that there is a certain responsibility that the court has to make decisions and deliberations within its power.
You think you could do that even though there's a front rows filled with officers expecting you to put this guy in jail?
Oh, absolutely. It's a totally different role, and I do respect that and honor that. In order to have a system that functions, our judiciary has to have some distance from, obviously, law enforcement, and they're there to ensure fair treatment before the court and respect the rights of the citizens and protect the rights of the community. So it's an incredibly difficult and nuanced balance, and I believe it's the unique role of the court. So I don't believe I'd be unduly influenced by my former history in law enforcement. Like I said, it's just a totally different role.
Thank you for that.
Mr. McFadden, this is Kurt Frazier in Bullock, Kansas. I'm an attorney here, and appreciate your comments in relation to your experience with law enforcement and your attitude in relation to judicial temperament as you would deal with criminal matters. But what I want to ask you about is on the other side, there are civil matters and other processes that a magistrate must deal with. And tell us about your understanding of those and your comfort level of being able to deal with those type of issues if you're on the bench.
Well, I understand magistrates may have some role in probate and other civil issues. And I believe that, again, it's simply a matter of doing your homework and gathering the facts and information, listening closely, and coming to a full understanding of what the situation is before the court, and using some common sense and knowledge of the law to reach a decision that is fair and equitable to all the parties involved.
Thank you.
This is Carol Good. I'm from Lincoln County, and I'm curious if you consider yourself a lifelong learner and how you feel about technology.
Yes, I do consider myself a lifelong learner. I think that's just a must for any person to continue to grow as a person and professionally in whatever role they play in society. I don't believe we can ever be content to stop learning and feel that, we know it all, because obviously no one can. I think it's important to continue to exploit technology to allow us to better execute our duties and our roles in communities and just serve our our offices and the citizens that we're supposed to. So I believe keeping up with technology and using the available resources is essential to delivering good service.
So you are saying you are tech savvy?
I would hope that I am to some degree. I'm not I'm not exactly an IT person. I often refer to my wife Lisa as the IT mom. But I am familiar with the internet and Zoom and all of our tools and I just feel that technology is advancing rapidly and it will continue to do so. And it will undoubtedly change in the future from what it is now. And it's just important to stay abreast of those matters and keep current.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, I think if we could give you, Mr. McFadden, just a quick 30 seconds or so to wrap up and convey any final thoughts or information you want the members to hear.
Well, I would thank everyone again this morning for considering my nomination. I think this is an exciting opportunity to serve the community in, like I said, a different role. I understand the differences in the roles I've played throughout my life as a law enforcement officer, and that I would be called to perform as a magistrate judge. And I believe I have an even temperament and a commitment to being a reliable and dependable resource for the judicial district. And if nominated, I look forward to serving. And thank you very much again for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. McFadden. And with that, you're free to exit the meeting. Or if Marcia is available, she can assist you in that as well. Okay. Are we ready then for our final applicant, Ms. Monty?
She's in the waiting room.
All right. Let's go ahead and bring her in, start her interview. Hello, Ms. Monty. Can you hear us okay?
Just as well I can. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank all of you.
All right. And we've been giving folks just an opportunity to introduce themselves and make any initial comments you would like to make about the position before turning it over to questions from the members.
Okay. I'm Gail Monty. I've been married to Paul for over 40 years. We have 4 daughters, 2 son-in-laws, 7 grandchildren, and 1 great-granddaughter, which we are so proud of all of them. I was born and raised around Washington. I love Washington. It's been a great place to raise our children. In regard to this position, for the last 40 years, I have had jobs involved in the field of law. I am familiar with the procedures for probate, domestic, civil, sync, small claims, adoptions, criminal cases. I know all of our district magistrate judges, all of the attorneys in our district, as well as all of the clerks and attorneys in the surrounding areas. I'm familiar with Full Court, which is the program the court uses for all files, electronic files. It has information of attorneys, cases, names, everything that's done in that case, whether it's been emailed or whatever. It has all that information. The clerks maintain that. And then I'm familiar with our e-filing system, which is the paperless, which I do filing for Judge Cudney, review cases for Judge Cudney through the e-filing system. I guess that starts me out. We can proceed on with whatever else everybody wants to ask.
Thank you for those comments. And with that, the members are free to ask their questions.
Gail, this is Bruce Meyer. Good morning.
Good morning, Bruce.
Hey, I just noticed on your resume that you didn't take any education beyond high school. I just wondered if have you taken any continuing education courses since then in regards to your current job position? And if so, your willingness in the future to continue your education?
Bruce, I have not taken any continuing education. Number one, when I worked in the law office, there were no programs for me to take continuing ed. You needed to be an attorney, and they really don't have any programs for the administrative assistant. I have just learned from Paul and Judge Cudney and everybody else that's been involved. I will take continuing education because I know as a magistrate judge, they have meetings and you need to attend, and I'd certainly be happy to take those, Bruce.
Okay, thanks, Gail.
You're welcome.
Gail, this is Bill Navis over at Belleville.
Hi, Bill.
Just have one question for you. I think you've had to give consideration to this, I'm sure, prior to the question here. If you're appointed as judge, what special consideration or challenge do you think you would have because you're replacing your husband in that position? Have you given that any thought?
Bill, I certainly have, and I'm going to not bother him with any questions, anything. He's retired. I feel very confident I could call any of the other magistrate judges or Judge Cudney and get assistance and directions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Gail, this is Dana Brewer. How are you this morning?
I'm fine, Dana. How are you?
Very well, thanks. I'm sure you've also given this consideration, but obviously this is going to be quite a time commitment, not only serving in the position, but also the 18 months of continuing education to be certified. Tell us about your willingness to undertake that.
I am willing to do whatever is required of this job. I have never had a court hearing, held a court hearing. I've listened to Judge Cudney. I hope I can be as fair and impartial and kind as she is, but I will do whatever is required for this position, Dana.
Thank you, Gail.
Thanks, Dana.
Good morning, Gail. This is Dan Metz from Lincoln, as you know. I have one question. You have been at the side of Judge Cudney now for a number of years. What would you say is the most important thing that you might have learned or that you've learned just being, I mean, you're not a stranger to the judicial system in Kansas, that's for sure. But what would you spotlight as being the best positive that you've had from being at Judge Cudney's right hand for all these years.
You know, Dan, Judge Cudney is a wonderful woman. And I have learned her kindness, her generosity, her patience, her fairness. She is the best example of anyone a person could be around.
Thank you for your answer. I appreciate hearing that,
Thank you.
from you.
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
Dale, did anybody ask you about settlement conferences and your interest in continuing your husband's legacy?
No, nobody has asked that. If the court would like me to do the training for settlement conferences, I would be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Hi, Gail. This is Kurt Frazier Beloit. Just a quick question for you. What do you see as the biggest challenge as you transition from the position that you're in now to a magistrate judge position?
Bert, I see the biggest challenge is, I think it'll be chapter 60. I'll be studying a lot, the rules of evidence and learning how they're applicable to each case. There will certainly need to be some studying done on my part.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kurt.
Sure.
Gail, this is Daryl. I of course knew you and Paul when Paul was in private practice, and there were others working in your office, but I'm assuming that you process probate proceedings, civil matters for Paul when you were working in the office. Is that a fair assumption?
It is, Daryl.
Gail, this is Bruce again. Why did you apply for this job, Gail?
Growth. Judge Cudney has been a great example and an inspiration to me. And next thing I knew, when I saw the application, I told Paul, I said, you know what? I'm going to apply for this position. And he said, go for it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Let me ask one more question, Gail. This is Dan again.
Yeah.
Dan Metz. Have you talked with Judge Grace or any of the other judges around the district about it, or have gotten any insight from any of our fine magistrate judges that we have in the 12th Judicial District?
I have not talked to them since I have filed and sent in my application. I certainly will need all of them to help me, especially when I'm beginning and all throughout. I think highly of all of our magistrate judges.
And you understand that to be a resource to you. Is
I
that what you're saying?
certainly do, Dan. I'm planning on them.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Any additional questions? I don't see anybody moving closer to the screen to talk. With that, Ms. Monty, if you want to take a final moment to convey any final thoughts that you want the members of the commission to consider moving forward.
I just want to thank all of you for taking the time. I know it takes extra work. I appreciate this meeting, this interview, all of your consideration. And I would be honored to be a magistrate judge for the 12th Judicial District.
Thank you. Thank you for your final comments and your participation today. And you're free to cut out of the Zoom meeting. And if you need any assistance, Marcia can jump in here and help too.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you. All right, that concludes the interviews for today, and now we get to do the real work. But before we do that, I thought we should sort of confirm how you want to handle the process and procedure for voting in a couple of respects. First of all, how do you, historically, maybe somebody can tell me how you have historically handled the voting process. There are a couple of options. You know, some commissions like to do it all in just one round and try and select a candidate. Some people like to break it into 2 rounds and vote for 2 candidates and sort of split it up in 2 phases. Does somebody recall how you've done it historically and whether you like that approach or want to try something new?
Well, I think historically we've always just voted for one candidate, and that doesn't mean we have to do it that way again, but I think historically that's the way we have done it.
Okay, well, if it's been a good thing, it's up to you. Does anybody have a strong feeling one way or the other, whether they want to continue just to try and do 1 round of voting and see if we can get a majority on a final candidate? Or would you like to try and do a 2-phase approach where you would vote for 2 candidates and the top 2 would move on to a final round where you would do the final selection? Not hearing any strong support for changing what's worked in the past. So I think we could just plan on trying to knock it out in one round, unless there are any objections to that approach. Anyone have a problem with that? See no objection to that approach. And then second, just sort of because of the format being on Zoom, we sort of need to coordinate or decide how we will, well, actually, before I do that, maybe we should make a motion and make it formal, our process for voting. Do I have a motion to proceed with the 1 round option?
Bruce Meyer, I so move.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Carol, good seconds.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any objections that I missed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Sorry, I sort of jumped the gun there, but what I was starting to discuss is how we're going to sort of communicate the votes to one another. We're still going to use a written ballot, but in terms of announcing tallies, we've got a couple of different options. You could fill out the ballot, take a picture of it and email it to us to tally sort of electronically, or some commissions have just, each member can announce their vote during the meeting and I can do the tally as you're announcing the vote. Does those options make sense? And is there any preference for one approach over another? Dana?
I think we should have a private ballot.
Okay, so is everybody comfortable then in a position where they could complete a ballot and electronically transfer it either by photograph or scan to Marcia's email, and that would allow us to tally those votes. And then I can make an announcement from that point forward. Is everybody sort of in line with Mr. Brewer's thoughts? Yeah. Okay. Well, before we officially vote, if each of you could just take out a ballot sheet, and where it says tally sheet number blank, does everybody see that on their ballot?
Yes.
If you just go ahead and fill in with the number 1 where it's blank, that'll be our first and hopefully our only round of voting. And then you can just print your name at the bottom of the ballot.
Do we separate the 2 ballots that are on the sheet? I assume we do.
Yeah, I think that my understanding was we had 2 sheets in case we did 2 rounds of voting. Is that right, Marcia? Is one just an extra?
On each sheet, there's 2 ballots, and you can leave them on one sheet. You don't have to tear them apart. Just mark 1 as number 1, and then if it goes to a second round, the second side that will be number 2. But those ballots will have to be mailed back to Justice Wall.
White, do you have a ballot?
Connie?
Excuse me? Oh, he was asking for his ballot. Okay. And then once you've filled out that, I think you can go ahead and vote. And when you've completed your vote, if you'll sign the ballot, and then either photograph and email, or if you have scanning capability, to email it to Marcia. And Marcia, I guess everybody may have your email from yesterday, but if we need to announce it again, do you want to just state it real quickly in case anybody needs it?
It's Johnson M at kscourts, plural.org. Johnson M at kscourts.org.
So just the whole thing goes.
Thank you.
And he said print it, which I did.
Do we need to do it right now?
Well, let's just wait until if there's more discussion. I think it can be done now. Can it?
Yes.
Are you ready to do it?
I can do it.
Let's just do it.
What do we need to do? In this, were we supposed to mail? Hey, Jerry, how are we supposed to send this? Email it? Okay, you scan yours, or how did you? Okay, you're scanning on yours. Okay. Yeah. I'll scan it. Thank you.
What?
Hey, Jerry.
Johnson, here it is. Johnson M at kscourts.org. Okay, I got it.
Okay. Watching TV. I don't know. The one thing that's been consistent, I've seen me, I've seen Daryl, Bill, I think. Podium is not occupied. This is Brad Lowell, Concordia.
I think Justice Wall, some of us have been on here long enough that we still miss the good old days when we adjourned the executive session and had talked about the candidates.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Those open meetings, it's, but I would say if there are confidential items that you wanted to discuss, there might be a reason to do that. But
no, I wasn't suggesting that. It's just.
Yeah, I know the good old days had some advantages, right?
The meetings lasted longer.
Your wife's see it's coming.
So we're sort of doing real-time tallying here, but I anticipate it'll take a few minutes. If anybody needs to take a break, feel free, and I'll make sure everybody's back and in front of us once we've got our numbers finalized and second checked.
Justice Wall, this is Bruce Mock. Were you related to the Walls down there in Clay Center that run the hardware store?
Yeah, that's Vic and Leah were my grandparents, and
Okay.
Corley is my aunt. Kevin is my uncle. Corwin is my uncle. My dad is Keenan. I used to spend summers up there, running around the hardware store and spending time in Clay Center. That's right.
Yeah, we go down there quite a bit down to Clay Center. So, anyway.
Yeah.
And then the person that works in the bank with me, or Don, he goes to a Dr. Wall down in Manhattan. Would that be a cousin or
That's my Uncle Kevin. Yeah. Yeah.
Your uncle?
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
He's in Manhattan. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. We're scattered around. But yeah. 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 That's small world, I guess.
Bruce, you've done your research.
Well, the name sounds familiar, you know. We knew the walls all the time, so anyway.
Yeah.
I won't let Clay Center be mentioned without mentioning my friend John Erickson. You have to know him. Everybody knows John.
John Erickson.
He's a lawyer actually he's a Washington D.C. guy now, but he grew up in Clay Center.
Wow.
And tell you what, the basketball teams for probably a 15-year period, what their record was. I'm surprised that I'm not getting a reaction out of John or about John. He's an old guy, though. Maybe that's the reason. He's my age.
Well, I didn't grow up there, but I spent a lot of time around there, but maybe our paths just didn't cross.
Tanner is obviously working from home.
Say, Jerry?
I said Tanner is obviously working from home.
From the kitchen.
Yeah, my wife tested positive for COVID on Wednesday, so I'm on at least a 14 or 10-day quarantine. I think 19 if I don't come down with it. So I'm working from home for a while.
Are we glad we did Zoom?
Yeah. You can all be glad you're not in the room with me right now.
Yeah, well, can't pass through the wires.
I walked in on the end of that. Did you get exposed, Tanner?
Kathy tested positive on Wednesday for it, I think from somebody that was at the bank that's got it as well. But Ellis, my daughter's test came back negative, and I feel fine so far. So hopefully that'll continue. I don't know who all got to see me folding laundry earlier, but probably not my finest moment of the day.
I was quarantined, but in the hospital, but got out and served my time and didn't ever get it or expose anybody else. So.
It's an equal opportunity disease.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is Brad Lowell, and I'm sorry I haven't used my picture because I have a third of my ear cut off left ear.
You've shown us your good side, but you've definitely been front and center on the picture here.
Brad, have you seen the Honorable Judge Tuggle lately?
Yes, I have.
And how's he doing?
He's doing well. He has COVID. He had COVID.
Really?
Yeah. He's better now. He's out and about.
Has it settled down a little bit in Concordia, Dana?
Yeah, it started to. We had a little bit of an uptick a day or so ago, but I think it's gradually trending down. Republic County numbers have been kind of up with Cloud counties the last several weeks. But again, hopefully that's improving.
Bill, do you have any adverse effects from it?
No, I have been very fortunate, Daryl. It was around Thanksgiving when I had it. The biggest adverse effect was that my wife was quarantined for 14 days while I had it, and she got it on the 13th day. So she spent a month at home, and I'm not sure she's forgiven me yet for that. But we healed fine, and we were very fortunate about that. But I look forward to being able to get the vaccine whenever that's available.
We've got to do that. We absolutely have to do it.
Have you been vaccinated, Dan?
No, I have not. I've got to be pretty high on the list if they go by age. But I have not been vaccinated nor had the opportunity.
Yeah, I think your odds are pretty good because I got my first dose. So.
Maybe. Now I know Brad. I knew him when he was in high school. He doesn't remember me, of course, but he was a high jumper, and I know he's got to be about my age.
Not very good.
we lined up at the high jump, and I don't know why your name is stuck in my. I guess because you probably beat me.
Well, I don't think so.
We're not going to do it today, though, are we? Or anytime soon.
I'm 83 now, and so.
Exactly. I'm 83 as of 2 weeks ago.
Well, my birthday's on January 26th, so you got me.
Yeah, well, I guess so. If you just turned, I've got a friend that was in my class and we've argued about it for years. He was born in January and I was born in December. And so that put him a year older than me, but he would never admit it. Of the same year, 37.
Brad and I used to play basketball at the community college, and my birthday is the day before his. So we would celebrate that in our 150 years of basketball experience. So.
There you go.
Well, I was still playing full court basketball at 74.
Good for you.
Came down with cancer, so.
Uh-oh. Well, we scrimmaged the Kansas City Chiefs and the K-State football team that was good, and that was about the end of my career on the hardwood. But that's a lot of years ago.
Chiefs too, and at some point.
Yeah, they had a road team that would let you raise a little money. The Lions Club.
Yeah.
They were probably pretty sad when you beat them, Dan.
I think the fix was in.
Well, I hope the next time we gather, we can do it in person and have lunch together.
I agree. I miss
I'll
those.
second that motion.
Absolutely.
That was always something to look forward to, getting together.
Yeah.
And, one of the losses of the COVID.
I don't miss out on all the traveling, though. Avoiding having to drive up to Washington this morning is kind of a nice side effect.
Yeah, and I had 30 more miles than you had. So Lincoln to Washington is as far away as you can get, and vice versa.
Didn't we ride together the last time?
I think we did, yeah. And we missed out on that.
Well, we've been cooped up so long that I would welcome the ride over to Washington right now. So
even with us, huh?
Yes.
if you get 3 of you, that's probably a violation of the open meeting.
Oh, it has to be. That can't happen. I wonder if they'll ever let that come back.
With all of this isolation, I've had about as much introspection as I want.
Yeah, there's a limit.
I couldn't help but think the other day, Dan, when Paul was retiring, back to the day when we all dined at the same place in front of a K-State KU basketball game.
I remember that. Oh, yeah.
Bill was there.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was at the Slam Dunk. Probably,
Yeah, it was.
wasn't it?
It was.
In Manhattan. I remember that. Sure. We were letting our feelings be known.
Yeah. Well, you'll recall that we invited Paul and Gail to come and join us, and I don't think either one of them have ever forgiven me for that.
I remember that event.
Is that the night, Dana, that I rode with you to the ball game and then you abandoned me and I had to find my own ride back to the hotel?
Jerry, you never have gotten over that.
I haven't. Looking all over for him and he's down on the floor celebrating.
He was trying to find you, rub it in.
Sure.
I was waving you down on the floor, Jerry, but you never came.
Imagine that.
Well, I agree with you, Dana. You don't want to miss those opportunities because they don't come around.
Oh, right. That was one of those that had to be grabbed.
Yeah.
Rare enough.
That was Rodney Magruder on that team?
Who?
Dana?
Rodney Magruder. Yeah, I believe he was.
Yeah, he could have been. Yeah.
That's
Magruder
right.
would have been. Yeah.
Ooh.
I've seen you, Daryl, at the Little Apple, and that particular night, my nephews were in charge, and of course they wanted a more lively place, and that's how we ended up where we were in our group anyway. We had
It was
pretty big
lively. It was lively.
yeah, well, livelier than the Little Apple, let's say that.
Yeah. Do you recall that, Bill?
Yes, I do. I recall Gail and Paul sitting. We remained in those seats and to watch the celebration, and there was no indication they were going to jump up at any time to go down to the floor.
Well, we were years ago. We were at a K-State Nebraska football game at night when K-State beat Nebraska, and our son, who was in high school, and said, "Dad, I don't care what you tell me or what you do to me. I'm going down on that field."
Yeah.
And if I hadn't been so old, I would have joined him.
We were at that game too. That was considered maybe a once in a lifetime thing.
That was the night that Willie was up on top of the press box, wasn't it?
It was. It was. It was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was at that game and I went down on the field.
You and John never missed
fun.
a game, though, Carol. It never, no matter where it was, did you?
Well, I missed many games. John missed all the games this year, but until then, he had only missed one game in 31 years.
Oh, yeah. One of those
Home
records.
games. So I missed many. I'm a fair weather fan.
My favorite Nebraska game was the game that, I think we had about 60 points. And that was a game where Pelini came out and protested to Bill Snyder about running up the score.
And called him a name.
Yeah.
Can you believe Pelini calling Bill Snyder a derogatory name?
Well, Pelini didn't know his history very well.
No, Pelini was
About running up the score.
but they put it in the Nebraska paper. I mean, a milder version of it. And I thought, oh, that guy's not going to be around long.
No.
He wasn't.
Were you all surprised that we didn't have any lawyers apply for this position?
I was. I thought there'd surely be, especially when we opened it up to statewide.
I did too.
Yeah, I thought that would do it. I was a little concerned until that, but then when it went statewide, of course, I don't know. Would require some serious moving to get very far west in Kansas.
I thought we might see the young man from Manhattan that applied for the job of the magistrate over in Republic County.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But did he move away or
No,
must have lost interest?
I think he's still in Manhattan, Dan.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, I haven't visited with him for a while, but I believe he's still there. But his wife is a attorney either with the city or the county, and they have a special needs child. And I think the health insurance, I guess they would have good coverage if he became a magistrate. But the interest in Republic County was his mother and father had farmed here just north of Belleville.
Okay.
And I think he felt like he could come back and help his mom, but
Sure.
I haven't visited with him, I think, since that day. So I'm not sure about it.
I talked to him just recently on a civil matter, and that he and I are both involved in, and he's still practicing in
Manhattan.
Said his his focus, I think, is on taxation. But
It's unusual that the longest delay that we've had deals with one higher expectation with technology than what some of the others are. Getting everybody on board was one, but I don't know what's happened with the ballots.
Okay, I think we've got our tallies together. And now I'm going to kick it back to you to decide how we proceed from here. There is not a candidate that received a majority of votes. And my recommendation would be to have the two highest vote getters proceed, and we do a second round of voting, unless you are comfortable having the highest vote tally take the nomination, though it's not a majority.
I think it would help the person serving if we end up with a majority.
I agree.
Okay. So then I think we will proceed, and we'll have a second round of voting amongst the two highest vote getters. And Marcia, should I walk through the tallies for each, or should I just? Okay. After tallying the votes and double checking them, because Marcia is much better at coordinating it than I was the first time. We have Jason Cohorst with 5 votes, Gail Monty with 4, Allison Kern with 2, and Chris McFadden with 1. So it's my understanding the commission would like to advance to a second round with Jason Cohorst and Gail Monty. Do I have a motion for that proposition?
So moved, Brad Law.
Second, Dana Brewer.
Thank you. Any further discussion on our procedure? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Right. Any opposition? Seeing none, passes unanimously. So at this point, we will have a round 2 of voting. And we can follow the same process. Marcia, did you want to interject?
On this ballot, when they mark the number 2, if they would just draw a line through Allison Kern and Chris McFadden, and that way it shows the 2 candidates they're voting on is Mr. Cohorst and Ms. Monty.
Thank you, Marcia. And then same process for filling out the ballot, voting, and then submitting your votes, and maybe it'll be an easier tally the second go around.
Do we? Should the 2 ballots be separated rather than running back through the system again? Because there's.
Yeah.
If it's marked number 2 at the top, that's the one I'm going to look for.
Okay.
When you email it, when you scan it or send it back to.
Okay.
And could I ask a favor? Would you go ahead? I mean, if you have Justice Wall's email address, I'm not going to announce it, but if you have it, would you send it to both of us? That might help us go a little bit faster.
And if we don't have it, we just send it to you.
Yes, and I'll forward it on.
Thank
Well, take that back.
Connie?
Just forward them to me and I'll forward them on. That way we're not duplicating.
Okay.
Just send them to me. Sorry for the confusion.
That's okay. Thanks, Marcia.
Honey. Where did she go?
Sorry, I had to go to the bathroom really
I'm
bad.
sorry.
I couldn't hold
I'm
it any
sorry.
longer.
I'm sorry about that. We're still in the middle of things. This needs to be. Just glad you're still here. Yeah, I've said number 2. If you can only send that, can you?
Yeah, hold it.
Yeah, there you go.
Do any of you diehard K-State fans remember the last time K-State beat KU in basketball?
I can come close.
Well, we had a very special young man playing on the K-State team at that time, Drummond Diarra. And we were attending a function, and that Bill Self was a cocktail party for Bill Self. And I went up and told him, I'm Papa Diarra. And he said, you mean number 21? We didn't know he could shoot.
He did.
Yeah. He hit 3 baskets in the last 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
How is he doing, Brad?
He's doing well. Lee just spoke to him the other week.
He's in Switzerland.
He's in Switzerland, and he's teaching children now. So he's doing all right. Except he says the Swiss only like money.
He was from France, wasn't he?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fine young guy.
Yeah. Played at Cloud County.
Right. If only he had a personality, Brad.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Yeah.
This invitation.
Well, it's been a tough year for them this year. I really like their talent, their young kids. It's been a tough, challenging year.
Has been. Mm-hmm.
The worst thing of it is with that darn transfer portal, I expect any day now there'll be a flood of them leaving. That really
Too easy, isn't it? Too
It is.
easy to do.
Yeah.
I don't see any real life lessons there.
I wonder if someday if they'll rethink that, because it's awfully hard to build a program.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it hurts the smaller programs and the less well-heeled programs.
Daniel, we had a high jumper. His name was Smith, and he probably won that event. Richard.
All I remember is Brad Lowell and Dan Metz, who we were standing there together. 53, probably 4. When was it? 54? Might have been 55, I guess. Thank you.
Was it here?
No, it was, well, wait a minute. No, what? It would have been in either Beloit or Concordia. I can't remember which.
Probably Beloit.
We didn't have a track. We ran in the sandbars around the old football field
Yeah.
in those years
Yeah.
in Lincoln.
We had a dirt track, and I can remember tripping over some roots.
We got a good one now, though.
Yeah.
You had to be a real man to high jump back then, because you had
Yes,
to jump
right.
into that damn sand pit that wasn't more than 2 or 3 inches off the ground.
We didn't have any sand, and that concrete was hard to come down on.
Jerry, the real men were the pole vaulters.
Yeah, they were, yeah. If you could afford a pole vault, I'm not sure we had any pole vaulters.
Yeah, those poles were something. They'd snap and break.
Yeah, they were. There were some bad endings out of those old pole vaults. Those poles.
Was the Beloit track a cinder track then?
Yes, it was. Yeah. We were just all dirt over here at Concordia.
Yeah, we were pretty fancy with the cinder track.
Yeah.
You were always ahead, a notch or two ahead of everybody else.
Jerry, do you remember when they took out the cinder track? It was after I started teaching there, but I don't remember what year it was.
Yeah, I really don't remember what year it was either. But it was a welcome improvement.
Is your ballot from Texas coming all the way from Texas, slowing us down, Carol? I thought Carol.
I hope not. I tried to get it in there right away.
Well, that's where I knew you were.
It's
But
sunny out and 66 degrees here.
yeah, make us feel bad. It's 30 up here, I think. But it's getting more, it's warming up today. You'll come back, I don't know when you're coming back, but probably not till April, right? Good for you.
Roger, what's the forecast for Jewel County today and tomorrow?
Oh, about freezing, but it's gonna be kind of chilly.
Any snow coming?
And they're talking first week, 3 to 4 inches.
Well, might help the fire situation a little bit.
Yeah, we could use a little help there. I think the guys are getting a little worn out on chasing fires, and
Yes.
semis blowing over.
Oh.
Well, this has to be the most exciting YouTube channel going on in the country right now. I appreciate your patience because we just want to make sure we get it right. And I think we've done that, and we've double counted, and I think we are good. So I am ready to move to item 7 on the agenda, announcing the appointment based on the votes of round 2. After tallying the votes, Jason Cohorse received 7 votes and Gail Monty 5. And so Mr. Cohorse, with the majority of the votes at 7, is our applicant for the district magistrate judge. And so now, does the commission, would you like to designate a member to reach out and contact Mr. Cohorst? We're happy to do it, but I think it would be great coming from somebody within the district and reaching out to him to let him know if they're not already watching right now, but to officially let him know the results. Does anybody want to?
Is Dan Metz the dean of the bar?
Oh, I was just going to suggest Daryl, since he served us so long as secretary and sort of the guy that kept us going. Thanks anyway, Dana, but I would yield to Daryl if he's willing to do it. He's closer.
I guess we don't. Yes, I'll be glad to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And how should we communicate with the other applicants? Do we want to send them a letter, or do we want to reach out personally? How does the commission want to proceed with the other interviewees, I guess? Marcia, what if, do you have a sense from the other commissions what the practice is?
Well, typically, the last ones, they've asked me to communicate just by a phone call and let them know that that the commission appreciated their time and their interest in the position, but they weren't the candidate.
So moved, Dan Metz. Marcia, if you're willing to do it.
Yes, I can do that. Yes.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second, Jerry Harrison.
Any additional discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All right. It looks like we have a unanimous motion that carries. Thanks, Marcia, for doing that. And thank you, Daryl, Mr. Miller, for reaching out to Mr. Cohorst. Okay. Well, I think I really appreciate everybody's time and patience, especially while we were tallying it. I think we're ready to, or close to our last item on the agenda, the adjournment. I just do want to remind everybody to mail their signed ballots back. Marcia, right? Even if, yeah, all the originals need to come back to our office, and any notes that you may have taken and the nomination forms, or that if you receive them by mail. If you receive them by email, I believe your instructions are just to destroy the documents. Is that right?
Just delete it. Yes.
Delete it. Yeah. And is there any additional business the commission wants to conduct at this juncture?
Could you come in, please?
Yeah.
Real quick, if we sent and signed the document electronically, do you still need the originals mailed, or can you use the digital signatures?
Okay.
I think we're allowed to do
Did
that.
we get these by email?
We can use them.
Okay. We need to destroy. I mean, if they were email, all we had to
Yeah,
do
we
was
can.
delete them.
I think we can use the electronic vote. So I guess they would not necessarily
shred
have
them,
to email
Return them.
mail them. But if you received a hard copy of the nomination form, we would like to have that back. And any notes that you took, we would need to have that those notes.
These just need to go back by mail. And the ballots.
And if you have follow-up questions, just feel free to email us and we'll respond with any of those sort of cleanup final questions or issues you may run into. But I agree. I think if we've got signed ballots for each of the rounds electronically, I think we should be in good shape. Yeah, I wish we could have done this in person. It would have been nice to meet everybody in person and to get some food out of it, if nothing else, right? But I think this went about as smoothly as you can do it electronically. And I know it takes a lot of time out of your day. And I really do appreciate everybody's efforts. And I thought you asked great questions and worked hard to get your selections and your final candidate. So I do appreciate everybody's time. And if nobody has any other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Bruce Meyer, I so move.
Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
I second. Dan Metz.
Okay. I don't think we'll have any further discussion on that one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. Yep. All right. Anyone opposed? Seeing no opposition, motion carries, and our meeting is adjourned officially at 11:30. Thank you, everybody, for your time.